The only brain hack you need to heal ED. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh. In this video, I want to share with you a 4-step brain hack that is just about assured to help you heal your erectile dysfunction. So we're going to move through 3 steps here in this video. Number 1, I want to assure you ED can be healed, and I'll tell you why. Number 2, we're going to talk about the brain performance pattern behind erectile dysfunction. Then we're going to move to number 3, your brain hack strategy for the day. So let's dive right in. Okay, I work with thousands of men who struggle and suffer with and from erectile dysfunction. So the number 1 thing I want you to know is that you can heal ED. You just need the brain hack strategy I'm going to give you today. It's not easy necessarily, but it's simple. So stay with me until the end, but I want you to know you can heal ED. So many people I work with kind of have given up, or in their mind, they don't actually think they can make it back. I want to assure you, you can. All right, so let's go to number 2. What is ED? Why and how can it be healed? So ED is erectile dysfunction. So you might think of that as dysfunction of your sexual organ. It's not. Your sexual organ works just fine. And so perhaps you've even gone to your urologist, your primary care physician, you've had your body checked out and everything is working properly. Your body is healthy. So erectile dysfunction is a form of sexual arousal dysfunction. Sexual arousal dysfunction happens because of baseline arousal dysfunction. So what I mean by that is your baseline brain performance pattern, how your brain uses electrical energy, has changed. It's become dysfunctional. It's no longer highly functional. Now I know what you're probably thinking. How did that happen? Here's what I need you to know is that if you've had a porn habit, it has impacted your ability to have healthy sexual arousal. Most people don't know that. And I'm on a mission to inspire you to understand that is at the core of most people's sexual arousal dysfunction these days. It's pornography consumption, it's sexual media consumption, which involves lower level porn influenced videos and short form media. Then it's also hypersexuality, which can consist of masturbation, it can consist of lusting, checking people out, dopamine hits for the brain. It can consist of fantasy. It can be internalized, which is the difficult part of erectile dysfunction once you hit a tipping point, which I will share with you in 1 second. So the idea is if you go to hypersexuality or you're going back to sexual content, it in fact is desensitizing the dopamine receptors in your brain. So what that means is they no longer can feel stimulated at healthy levels. We'll say healthy levels are between 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 10 would be a very high level stimulus. Well, unfortunately, pornography and sexual media are considered supernormal stimuli. That means porn gives your brain 11 to 15, and if you're watching intense porn, that's 15 plus. So if your brain needs 15 plus level stimulation to feel aroused because of a frequent, consistent, and intense porn habit, now what happens is it's time to be with a wonderful, beautiful, real life human woman or partner. And now your brain can't get there. It needs level 15. And your partner on a good day is probably a level 7 or 8. Life is busy, am I right? So that gap in arousal dysfunction because of baseline changes, that is at the core of erectile dysfunction. So the beautiful thing about that is if you can heal your baseline arousal brain pattern, your erectile dysfunction can and will heal. How do you do that? I'll tell you in the brain hack. But the idea is your brain's electrical energy pattern has changed. Now there's 2 patterns that are at the core of erectile dysfunction. One I call strained brain, the other I call drained brain. I'm going to put up images so you can see them. This first pattern, strained brain, is one of too much fast and slow brain energy at the same time. So this pattern is actually created and reinforced by your porn habit. You may have had it a little at the beginning, but for the most part, a porn loop, a 4D cycle of porn, is what makes and reinforces this strained brain pattern. When you have the idea you're going to consume porn, which of course has been a long time habit by this point, that dopamine feels good and it motivates you to want more pleasure. That's the essence of the neurotransmitter dopamine. Whatever you link it to is where the pleasure is. So once you have the idea, you essentially have 3 seconds to pivot and run, or you will find yourself down the slippery slope of your porn or masturbation habit. Especially if you're trying not to watch porn, that fantasy is probably internalized. In the second D of this cycle, what happens is you get a dopamine deluge. You get a flood of dopamine into your system. It makes you feel good. It takes the edge off of stress. It numbs you out. Then if you stay in this cycle for a long time or for any amount of time, your brain will move into the third D of the 4D cycle, which is the dopamine drowning. This is the dangerous part because essentially the dopamine receptors in your brain are drowning in dopamine, really getting flooded, meaning you feel really good, you feel really numb, but it's damaging those receptors. Then when you're done with your porn habit or masturbation, you move into the 4th D cycle, which is a dopamine deficit back in your life, which means your life becomes more stressful. And what happens to your brain pattern when it's being flooded or drowned in dopamine, it drains your system. What it's doing is increasing the alpha calm, relaxed, couch neutral mode in your brain. It's artificially enhancing it. It makes it so you can't feel calm in your life because you have to go back to the screen to feel numb, to feel calm artificially. But when you get back into your life, your brain is using strained brain. It's using too much fast energy, which makes you feel stressed, too much slow energy, which makes you feel fatigued and overwhelmed. This can cause attention difficulties, anxiety, depression, lack of motivation. It can create the narcissistic bubble that just makes you want more pleasure for yourself. It creates anger, irritability, all the stuff you're dealing with in your life that you don't know where it's coming from. It's coming from this 4D cycle, from the dopamine deficit. That's strained brain. It's a pattern of much too much fast energy. It's a pattern of much too much slow energy. But if you keep cycling through the 4D cycle, you will tip into drain brain, that artificial, calm, neutral, numbed out mode. You will stick there permanently. Now, when you get to drain brain, you're using a lot of alpha medium speed, but it's artificially induced at very high levels. Now you have lack of motivation and you can no longer be sexually aroused by a level 8 or 9. You need 15 plus, or you just cannot remotely get there. So strain brain and drain brain are at the core of erectile dysfunction. But the beautiful thing is they can be healed. So let's move to number 3 so that you can understand how you can heal your erectile dysfunction. So basically I put this into 4 steps or into 4 categories. And the idea is, first you have to be inspired to figure this out and to move forward. Inspiration is really important. When you have a big problem, it can be totally overwhelming and you can just give up. There's a large body of evidence on learned helplessness where you go, oh, this is my life. Hands up, I'm done. You have to be inspired to move through the steps to heal, but you can in fact do it. Then number 2 is you have to understand what's at the core of this. Now, tragically, I'm coming off of a decade of toxic mold poisoning. And the reason I share that is it was a decade because I had no idea that toxic mold was making me sick. I knew I had increasing problems of all different varieties, but I didn't even know about toxic mold. Never mind, no, it was my problem. Okay, so how in fact do you heal ED? I'm going to lay it out for you in a 4-step brain hack strategy. And we've already covered most of the pieces throughout the beginning of this video. But first and foremost, it's essential that you become inspired to solve this situation. This is a situation in your life, not your life itself. And there's a large body of evidence on learned helplessness where you may feel you're never going to heal. Healing starts with the inspiration to be able to heal. Now, then you move to phase number 2, which is understanding. I'm here to attempt to inspire you to want to heal and then to understand what you need to heal. Once you understand, it demystifies the process of, can this actually happen? You move from that to, this can actually happen and this is how. Understanding the problem allows you to move towards the solution. And again, that's why I'm trying to present to you that the problem is desensitization in the reward center and the reward pathways in your brain. The solution is resensitization and never desensitizing again. If you want to understand that more, please go over to my 3 Steps to Heal ED at Home program. It's on my website, drtrishleigh.com. I am here to help you. All the information you need to understand the problem and to be able to move forward is in that program, which leads us to number 3. Once you understand the problem, it is crucial that you know how to move forward. So I'm coming off of a decade of having toxic mold poisoning. Tragic, for sure. But the reason that I was dealing with it for a decade is because, number one, I didn't know I had it. So I did not know toxic mold even existed, never mind that you could get very, very sick from it. So once I figured out it was a thing, I was inspired to move forward. Now that wasn't enough, unfortunately. After being inspired, it took me 4 years to figure it out. And it's because I didn't know how. I hired a whole bunch of people and they led me, most of them led me a little bit in the right direction, but I had to figure it all out myself by hiring lots and lots of people and getting one little tidbit from each person at a very high expense. So even though I was inspired and I began to understand it, I didn't know how to fix the problem. When I knew how to fix the problem and when I got the right support, which is number 4, I had to get all of these people because the right support couldn't be found in one person for me when it comes to toxic mold. Honestly, when it comes to ED, you're probably already experiencing you can't find the right help in one person until now. I can help you. But once you know how to heal your brain, which will back out your erectile dysfunction, most people need support in doing so. In the 3 Steps to Heal ED program, there's a Q&A discussion board that's designed for me to answer your questions. So your questions will get answered in that program. That way I can support you and move you through. It's also crucial to be able to take the steps to stop desensitizing and begin to resensitize. Of course, the understanding and the information is there, but you need to be able to personalize it to your situation in particular, and many times support is needed there also. So to wrap up this video, I want you to know, in fact, you can heal your erectile dysfunction and you can start today. And if you start today, it does not necessarily mean it will be healed by next week, but it will definitely shorten the decades-long struggle. It can be healed within 90 days or very shortly thereafter. The more strategies that you implement and the more support you have, you can move through this life situation to the other side, where healthy sexuality and a beautiful relationship with sex in terms of healthy levels of dopamine, healthy levels of serotonin for joy, and healthy levels of oxytocin for connection, which we refer to as the happiness trifecta. They lie there for you. That is what I want for you. That's what you deserve. All right, go on over to drtrishleigh.com. I'm here to help you. And until next time, control your brain or it'll control you.